Good afternoon and welcome back. Let's just start with our 500 millibar chart here. We have a pretty large broad trough across much of the United States, which we are pretty much right into the middle of. Any rising motion associated with this system is likely already past our area, so let's move forward in time, in which, for the most part, through this evening and into the overnight, we are in a pretty steady northwest flow pattern. Excuse me, got some hiccups. But as we head towards tomorrow afternoon, you can really see a smaller shortwave trough embedded in this larger flow just to our northwest around the United States-Canada border here. And it does have a pretty strong jet streak associated with it, almost right at the base of that trough. And you would expect some more rising motion and lowering pressure uh, in the left exit region of this trough, which is just out ahead of this low pressure center, which means it will probably intensify and deepen a little bit. And that also brings it a little bit closer down towards our area. And so I don't think it's out of the question that we feel some impacts from this, at least in terms of rising motion. But I think the majority of that rising motion, at least synoptically or from on the large scale, is going to be off to our north. Now that doesn't mean we can't see some impacts, especially since an upper system like this is almost certainly going to lead to some strong cyclogenesis at the surface. Basically means it's going to create a big area of low pressure, and the big area of low pressure at the surface is almost certainly going to bring some impacts to our area. Now let's take a look at the 700 millibar chart. So we're going a little bit lower down in the atmosphere, and it shows much of the same thing. You have a pretty intense low pressure system off to our north, has a nice jet associated with it, and while it primarily moves to our north, I still think it could cause a little bit of a disturbance for us. And then we'll go down to the 850 millibar level, which is even more closer to the surface, just to make sure that we're not missing anything. Though it appears to not really want to load, so we'll give that a minute. There we go. Now we're at the 850 millibar level. And yeah, it's pretty much just showing the same thing. So now let's just head to the surface. Initially, not a whole lot going on, but as we head into the evening tonight and getting into the overnight, you can really see that low pressure system start to rapidly build off to our northwest, associated with that upper air disturbance and that upper air shortwave trough. And the first thing that this is really going to do is it is going to bring some nice warm air up into our area tomorrow. So back it up just a little bit. You can see that a lot of the wind barbs here are pointing up towards our area, which means that it is bringing wind, or the wind is bringing air from farther south and areas to our southwest up into the region. And that, combined with, some daytime heating from the sun, means it's going to get quite warm on Friday, at least for, being February in Michigan. And this actually has a warm front like all the way up into Canada at this point. Of course, it does have a cold front stretching behind it. So while we should have a relatively nice day on Friday, a cold front is going to start to sweep in as we head into Saturday. Things are going to cool off a bit. And of course, that cold frontal feature could bring some precipitation. However, if we take a look at our dew points or our moisture, even when it gets quite warm on Friday, the moisture doesn't quite catch up. The temperatures may, as we'll see later, get all the way up into the 50s, but the dew points here are still only in the 30s. And especially as that cold front comes through, dew points are around or even below 30, and so this is likely to be a dry frontal passage, meaning we may not get much precipitation from the front after all. Let's zoom in and take a look at our highs and lows now. So for today, we may see temperatures get up into the low 30s. We're talking like just around or maybe even slightly above freezing, 33, 34 perhaps. Now, in the evening and overnight, temperatures will drop below 30 just a little bit in the high 20s. And honestly, probably hang right around 30, so probably 20, 28, 29, 30 degrees. Um, and they shouldn't really get that much colder overnight. Again, that is because of the southern transport of some warmer air. So even though the sun is down, that transport of air is helping keep temperatures stable. Then, of course, as the sun comes up, our temperatures are going to shoot up tomorrow, potentially as high as 50 degrees and maybe even slightly warmer. If I were to guess, I would place us right at the 50-51 degree area. Unfortunately, uh, if you like warmer weather like I do, it will not last. As we head into the evening, things will cool down, initially just down into the low 40s, and then that cold front will start to come through in the overnight hours and into Saturday morning. And by 7 a.m. Saturday morning, we are back below 30 degrees. At this point in time, we are in the upper 20s. So, fortunately, that warmer weather is not going to stick around, but that doesn't mean I can't look forward to it. So now let's take a look at that precipitation. Oh, what did I just do here? I don't know. I hit a button. Anyway, now let's take a look at precipitation. And we do see some snow off to our north tonight or this evening, and then a fair bit more snow off to our north late tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening in association with that low pressure system. But none of it's really affecting us. And you will see that that remains to be the case even into Saturday morning. Now, if we do if we do zoom out, you can see a thin band of snow off to our west that could potentially make its way into our area later into Saturday. And indeed, we are expecting that to be the case. This is actually not associated with the low pressure system or even the cold front. This seems to be more related to upper air dynamics and perhaps just from some divergence of the wind aloft, which then excuse me, leaves a void, which means air has to rise from below to fill that void. And so you get some rising motion and eventually you get some snow. So that's not really related to the system that is coming through tomorrow, though. However, it's still something that is there and should be, we should be keeping our eye on it, you know? However, it's not anything we're expecting significant snow from. Definitely not at all. In fact, there's a chance we don't get any snow from it. Current forecasts for our area is literally 0 to 1 inches. So again, on the low end, there's a chance we don't get any snow at all. None. And on the high end, even the high end, if we get more snow than expected from the system, that still only places us at 2 inches. So it may not snow at all, or we may get up to 2 inches. Personally, I'm not all that impressed about this particular system. I didn't see a whole lot at the upper levels. I think the biggest thing it has going for it is that we are, if we go up to the 500 millibar chart here and go over the area, is that we are kind of in the, or this whole region is kind of in the right entrance region of that jet streak, which is providing some of that lift. But and there is some divergence aloft. It's not super obvious though. It's definitely not a amazing example. So personally, I'm not super impressed by that system. Could it could it yield some? Is it possible to get an inch or two from it? Yeah, but personally, I feel like we're probably going to be on the lower end of that forecast, especially since there's not really, as we took a look at earlier, really not a lot of moisture available to this system. Of course, temperatures are going to be colder, which will bring the relative humidity up, but I'm just not sold on this system too much, or at least on the Saturday snowfall. But it's something to keep an eye on nonetheless. Now let's take a look at wind. Things look pretty calm at the moment, though I do suspect that we may see some increasing winds as that low pressure system moves into our north, and especially as that cold front comes through. But we will just have to take a look and see. Things remain calm through the day today and into this evening, and remain calm through most of tomorrow morning, though winds do start to pick up. Excuse me. As we head towards tomorrow afternoon, sustained winds potentially 15 to 20 miles per hour on the high end. And then things do calm down a bit as we head into Saturday morning. Now let's take a look at our wind gusts. Again, right now things are relatively calm. Even the strongest gusts are only 10 to 15 miles per hour, though they will build a little bit later in the day, but not much at all before they start to pick up as we head into tomorrow morning a bit. Some gusts 20, maybe up to 25 miles per hour, but I think only the strongest gusts will probably get up to that point. Then it looks like maybe we see a brief little period of calm tomorrow morning. Well, relatively calm. I mean, we're still seeing some gusts up to 20 miles per hour, perhaps. But I mean, just in terms of, oh goodness, well, what was going on before and what's about to happen. Tomorrow afternoon, yeah, the wind gusts really pick up. It looks like they will be strongest to our north, and especially over Lake Superior, so like north-north, but even in our area, some of the strongest wind gusts, 35, potentially up to 40 miles per hour. So, those are some pretty good wind gusts. Nothing crazy, not 60 plus, but you're gonna feel and you're gonna hear some 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. You will feel and hear those, even with all, and especially here with all the trees around. But you know, and when I say that, I mean you'll hear the wind, especially with all the trees around. The trees do help negate the effect of that you feel, so you may not feel the wind as much, but you will definitely hear it. But again, things will calm down as we head into Saturday morning. Uh, Even the strongest gusts are now down to 20 to 25 miles per hour. So now, with that being said, let's take a look at cloud cover. And things are a little bit cloudy right now. Yeah, honestly, it looks a lot more cloudy out than this is, leading on to. And I think part of that is because these are mid-level clouds. But those should clear out as we head through the day today, into the afternoon and towards the evening. And even tomorrow morning, we're not seeing much in the way of cloud cover at all. And that remains true through a good bit of tomorrow. We do have some cloud cover starting to poke into the area, but even into portions of tomorrow afternoon, it still looks fairly clear. Then we do have some more clouds moving towards the evening, but this still should leave some pockets of blue sky open. And even as we go through the overnight, more clouds do build in, and more clouds start to build in as we head towards Saturday morning. But even this does not look completely covered. This looks kind of similar to right now. And while I don't see a whole lot of blue sky, I think I can make out that there's some blue sky existing behind that thin layer of mid-level clouds. But even then, you can tell that some of that sunlight is making its way through. It's definitely not, as dim as you'd expect from a fully cloud-covered sky. So I would say maybe expect something similar to that tomorrow morning, or maybe even a slightly more clear Saturday morning. So, yep, with that being said, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.